Welcome. This is BNPtv reporting from Pendle, Lancashire. Now we're joined here today by Councillor Brian Parker. Now Brian has been elected 3 times to represent his local community. He is presently standing in the county council elections to represent them at that particular level. Now Brian, perhaps you could tell our viewers how your campaign has been progressing.
Well, it's been going very well so far. We've put out about 20,000 leaflets, so you can realise
a lot of work.
The effort that goes into doing that. It's a good thing I'm a fit man at my age, 61. But the thing is, I've put it on the leaflet that I have the experience to do the job properly. As you said, elected 3 times. I'm an armed forces veteran, so I have the resilience and experience to do it and do it properly.
And what sort of leaflets have you been putting out?
So this is one of the leaflets we've put on when I was elected onto the town council, re-elected with an increased vote in 2010 to serve till 2014, elected and serving a full term on Nelson Town Council. So we put on our priorities for Lancashire County Council, but to give people a bit of a change, we put on the full horror of mass immigration and what it does for our area. Now, I was born in that area and look at it now. So that's the full horror. So we've put that out to wake people up to the reality of what is actually happening. I put my personal view on immigration. There's nothing wrong with a small number of immigrants coming into the country as long as they're compatible with our way of life. But the trouble is, we've got people who are coming into the country, which we've just seen, who are completely incompatible. And to my mind, that's one of the worst crimes ever committed against the British people. And it's been done by those duplicitous politicians in the Labour and Conservative parties.
Well, I'm sure if there was a crowd here, they would applaud that, Brian. Now, just to change the subject slightly, I believe there's been some strange goings on in the UKIP camp, and I'm sure our viewers would like to know what's happened there. Yeah,
that took me by surprise. Kenneth Bell, who was the candidate, he came round to my house. I invited him in, and he said, "I think I should tell you first, Brian, I'm pulling out." I said, "What's your reasons?" It appeared he'd been suspended by UKIP. I've got the...
Yes, I'm sure it was an interesting tweet he made.
Yeah. And yeah, it says here in the local press, he was suspended by UKIP's North West organiser, Dr. Fred McGlade. And also in this newspaper, it says, Kenneth added, "I went into UKIP thinking it was a party about the EU. I didn't realise it was the Margaret Thatcher fan club." He says, "I tweeted my sympathies to the devil on the day that Margaret Thatcher died and all hell broke loose."
Very funny indeed.
So he's not a fan of Margaret Thatcher, and I never have been either.
But UKIP obviously are.
But I do remember when I was struggling financially. Me and my wife were struggling with young children, and the arrogance of Margaret Thatcher to just triple our community charge bill overnight. We were paying £189 at that time, and then they just put it up to just short of 600. So we really felt that financially, and I've never liked Margaret Thatcher since then.
Well, you and many other working class people in this area. Now, Brian, it's not just UKIP where there has been strange goings on. I believe there have been strange goings on in the Conservative camp as well.
Yeah, the Conservative candidate, who was elected in 2009 to represent this area, and anyway, shortly after he was elected, he moved to Gloucestershire, and he was taking part in an election there. But really, that's not on. if he's elected here, he should be staying here and
Did he still draw his allowances when he moved?
He was still drawing his 10,000 a year allowance, yes. But this is while living in Gloucestershire, yeah. But he's recently moved back.
Well, many would say typical Conservative. Now, before you go, I'd like to ask your opinion on a topic that I know is close to your heart. I know for years that you have been at the forefront of the campaign against the heroin traders operating in your community, and I know that there is a particular problem here. Now, the government has just announced a new initiative where they're opening up these so-called shooting galleries where addicts can go and inject themselves in hygienic surroundings and free from the fear of prosecution. Do you think this is a good idea?
No, I don't. It's sort of normalising heroin use. Really, they should be concentrating on getting rid of heroin at its source, which is mainly Afghanistan. 90% of the heroin production comes from there. So all they have to do, seeing as our soldiers are out there and they've got drones out there, is just spray the poppy fields with glyphosate or something like that, destroy it at source. But the government says, well, those who are growing the poppies, they've got to make a living. So it would be far cheaper just to say to the people who are growing these poppies, we'll give you double what you get from this poppy production, and then we'll destroy your crops. But the government isn't doing that. And since our soldiers have been in Afghanistan, the heroin production has gone up enormously. So the best thing to do is destroy it at source. But about the heroin trade, the biggest hero of this is yourself. Because remember, you and me were arrested in a dawn raid.
I do remember, Brian. I do remember very well.
Ordered by Jack Straw, who was then the Justice Secretary. And that's the first time I've been arrested. So I spent the day in the cells at Burnley, for speaking the truth about the heroin trade. Apparently, a large Muslim community in Blackburn had gone to Jack Straw and said, we don't like the truth coming out about the heroin trade, can you shut this man up? And so that's why we were arrested at dawn. And another thing to point out is they couldn't charge me on anything because the CPS had said I hadn't done anything wrong. But they still held my equipment, computer, even the council computer, for 8 months. We had to have a demonstration outside the police station in Blackburn to get them to give our equipment back. And I must compliment you on your performance in court. You couldn't get a solicitor to represent you properly, so you're an ex-college lecturer. You did an intensive study of the law, defended yourself in court, and the jury found you not guilty.
Well, I know that I'm only really following in your footsteps because I know that you have suffered many inconveniences, not least in the council chamber, where you've been howled down for talking about the heroin trade.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much for sparing the time to come and speak to our viewers. And before you go, I'd just like to wish you, and I'd like to wish every other BNP candidate who is standing on Thursday's elections the very best at the count. Thank you very much.